Now we have really grippy tires to grip the road, and a really nice set of wheels to show off the car. Now it's time to go over the second most important thing on your car. The brakes. Why, you ask? The more power you add to your car, the more braking force you need to slow it down. I'm going to go over the different types of braking systems and the kinds of upgrades you can do. My SR5 has vented discs in the front, drums in the rear. The disc brake systems are easier to deal with than the drums. When the disc system started showing up in the late 60s, the rotors weren't vented, as in this right here. Vented discs started to show up in the 70s. What vented means is there are air vents in the rotor, so air can pass through and cool the rotor down in between braking cycles. This is the caliper, and inside is a piston that pushes these are brake pads, against the rotor, allowing you to stop or just slow down. For a stock to mild setup, this stock system is enough, up to a point. Soon you'll start experiencing brake fade when the pad can't bite anymore because of the overheated gases. The rotor will start warping from overheating. The stock system can only take you so far. One of the easiest things you can do to better your brake system is changing your pads. Different pads do different things. You can go from mild to wild. For a street application, stay away from wild. That would be racing pads. Racing pads only work when they are hot. So putting them on a street car, you're basically asking for trouble. The typical types of pads are organic, ceramic, and semi-metallic. There's a pretty good chance, like these are stock, that you guys running stock stuff has got organic pads in there. I'm almost guaranteed these are organic. So, yeah. Like I said, stock is fine if you are on a budget. You know, organic pads are cheap. Ceramic is the next step. They last longer and are gentle on your rotors. And then you have semi-metallic, which is getting closer to race territory. They wear rotors faster, and sometimes they don't work very well at low temperatures, but they slow you down really fast. These I'm gonna use to replace the brake pads that are in there when those brake pads get low enough. These are Performance Friction Brakes Carbon Metallics. Once you've chosen your pads, you can either have these rotors resurfaced or you can just replace them. And then you have a break-in period where the pad has to bed itself into the rotor before you go crazy. There are rotor choices. Fortunately, I can't show you any, but I don't have any, but I can try to show on this one. You have just standard vented OE, original equipment. There are ones that are slotted. There are ones that are cross-drilled, and of course cross-drilled and slotted. Many people say that slotted is better than cross-drilled, and vice versa. My take on it is every rotor does the same job. Just some can make the job perform better or more efficiently. Slotted rotors have slots in them. Like, they go like this way. So, because you're turning that way. It helps them evacuate the hot brake gases and help with cooling. Drilled does the exact same thing as slotted, except they have holes drilled in them. And then you have cross-drilled and slotted, which basically does the exact same thing that the other did. I prefer slotted because when you use the slots, you still have a lot of rotor for the pad to bite on. Cross drills do have a tendency to crack under severe conditions, and also poor drilling, because some people will drill these by themselves. Once you choose a rotor, the same break-in period is required. You can go even further with the upgrades. You can get bigger rotors and bigger calipers with multi-pistons in them, 2-piece, 3-piece, you know. But that's like if you have a crap load of money and you've got big enough wheels to take it all. So the front is done. Let's go to the back. On the back of my car I have drum brakes. Before discs showed up, all cars had four-wheel drum brakes. And as you can see already, the entire system is enclosed. That makes heat dissipation extremely hard. Not to mention all the gases inside have nowhere to go to. And there's going to be a lot of dust in there, so when I pull this off, there's going to be a lot of dust. As you can see, I can't turn that, and that's because the emergency brake is on. I gotta go take the emergency brake off, and hopefully I should be able to get this off all by itself. If not, I can whack it a few times with a hammer, or I can go back here, there's a little hole, and I can manually get the brake shoes to get closer together, and then this will come off. So, let's do that. Look at that. And there is the rear brake system. Probably looks really, really complicated. But I actually figured out that here's a way where you might be able to get it more simple. You got a pivot point down here, and then when you step on the brake, there's 2 pistons in here that spread these apart onto here, which causes you to stop. Performance parts for drum brakes is extremely lacking. Actually, the only thing that I can get for this car is finned drums, where they've got fins coming out here, and it's designed for cooling the drum. That's all they have, which can definitely say that drum brakes are definitely on their way out. The disc system is more efficient and easier to repair. This is called the wheel cylinder. There's a way to check to see if your wheel cylinders are bad or leaking. Just lift up on the back, lift up on one of these, just lift up and look in there, and you'll be able to tell if you're leaking or not. In the future, I might upgrade this to rear discs. You know, like the Corolla GTS, because they have 4-wheel discs. But in order to do that, I have to change out the rear diff. So, I may do this, I may not. Here's a side note. If you've ever wanted to know if your emergency brake is working properly, go to a really steep hill. The service manual says 5 to 8 clicks, 5 to should be enough to sustain your car on that hill. And that's your brake system. So, stay tuned. This is Eddie Faraci signing off.